What do you mean it won't come off? Mama Sade's voice broke as she rushed forward and grabbed Amara's wrist. The blade fell from Amara's hand and hit the ground with a dull sound. Amara's breathing became fast, uneven. "Look at it, Mama. Look at it," she said, almost like she was begging someone to wake her from a nightmare. Mama Sade forced herself to look. The lantern light trembled across Amara's stomach, and the scales reflected it back in cold green flashes. They were arranged neatly, almost beautifully, like they had been placed there on purpose. That was what made it worse. This was not injury. This was not sickness. This was design. Mama Sade reached out slowly, her fingers shaking. She touched the scales. They were cold, hard, alive in a way she could not explain. She pulled her hand back quickly as if she had touched fire. "Cover it," she whispered. Amara stared at her. "Mama, cover it!" she shouted this time, fear finally taking full control of her voice. Amara quickly dropped her wrapper back down, her hands trembling violently now. Silence filled the room. Not the peaceful kind, the heavy kind that presses on your chest. The kind that tells you something has gone terribly wrong and nothing will ever be the same again. Mama Sade picked up the lantern from the floor and set it upright again. Her hands were still shaking. "We will not tell anyone," she said quietly. Amara looked at her. "But no one," Mama Sade repeated, her eyes sharp now. "Do you understand me?" Amara nodded slowly. But deep down, she already knew. This was not something that could stay hidden. That night, sleep did not come. Amara lay on her mat, staring at the ceiling, her hand resting lightly on her stomach. At first, she thought she imagined it. Then it happened again. A movement. Slow. Deliberate. Not like a baby kicking. Not random. Not weak. It felt aware. Amara sat up immediately. Her heart pounded hard against her chest. "Mama," she whispered. Mama Sade did not answer. She was awake too, sitting in the corner, watching. "I can feel it," Amara said, her voice breaking. Mama Sade closed her eyes briefly, then stood up and walked toward her. "Lie down," she said softly. Amara obeyed. Mama Sade placed her hand on Amara's stomach. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, something moved, directly under her palm. Mama Sade jerked her hand back like she had been bitten. Both of them froze. They looked at each other. No words. Because there were no words for this. The next morning, the village woke up like always. Women fetched water. Men went to the farms. Children ran around laughing. But in Amara's house, nothing was normal. She did not come outside. Mama Sade did not greet neighbors. The door remained closed. And that was enough to start suspicion. By afternoon, 2 women stood outside their compound, whispering, "I have not seen Amara today. She did not come to fetch water. Something is wrong." Inside, Amara sat in silence. Her body felt heavy. Her mind was racing. "What if they find out?" she asked. Mama Sade looked at her. "Then we deal with it." "How?" Amara's voice cracked. "How do we explain this?" Mama Sade had no answer. Because there was none. Days passed, and the scales did not go away. They spread slowly, like something inside her was growing and claiming space. Amara stopped looking at herself. She avoided water, avoided mirrors, avoided anything that could show her what she was becoming. But she could not avoid the feeling. When she was quiet, she felt it shift in a way that made her skin crawl. Like it was stretching. Like it was turning. Like it was preparing. One evening, as the sun set, Mama Sade brought a bowl of hot water. "We will try again," she said. Amara did not argue. She simply sat. Mama Sade dipped a cloth into the hot water and pressed it against the scales. Steam rose. The room filled with heat. Amara clenched her teeth. "Does it hurt?" Mama Sade asked. "No," Amara whispered. And that was the problem. It did not hurt. It did not react. Mama Sade pressed harder. Still nothing. Finally, she dropped the cloth into the bowl. Her shoulders slumped. It is not leaving, she said quietly. Amara's eyes filled with tears. I know. It was night again. Deep night. The kind where everything is silent. Then suddenly, Amara's scream tore through the darkness. Mama Sade jumped up immediately. What is it? Amara was shaking. Her entire body was shaking. It's coming. Something is coming. Her hands clawed at the ground. Her breathing became wild, uncontrolled. Mama Sade rushed to her side and held her tightly. It's all right. But it was not. The pain was different. Not like childbirth. Not like anything human. It came in waves, sharp, violent, unforgiving. Amara arched her back, screaming again. Mama, make it stop. Please make it stop. Mama Sade began to cry. I don't know how. Then, something impossible happened. Amara's stomach moved. Not from inside, from the outside. The scales shifted, opened, like a door. Mama Sade's scream joined Amara's. The air in the room changed. Heavy, cold. It came out, slowly, smoothly. A small green snake slid out onto the floor. Wet, shining, alive. Silence. Complete silence. The world seemed to stop breathing. The snake lifted its head and looked straight at Amara. Amara's breathing slowed. Her fear changed. She did not scream. She did not move away. Instead, she reached out, her hand trembling. The snake moved toward her, curled into her palm. Warm, soft, alive. Tears rolled down Amara's cheeks. Her voice was barely a whisper. You are mine. Mama Sade stumbled backward, hitting the wall. Amara, no. But Amara did not look at her. She was staring at the creature in her hand. Not with fear. With something deeper. She took a slow breath. This world will not understand you. Her lips trembled. But I will. She paused, then whispered softly. Nixara. The name filled the room like it had always been waiting. The snake blinked slowly and curled closer, accepting it. From that moment, nothing was normal. Days passed, and Nixara did not remain a snake. Within days, she took the shape of a child. A small girl. Beautiful. Quiet. With smooth skin and long dark hair. But her eyes remained green. She did not cry like other babies. Did not laugh. Did not play. She only watched. Always watching. Especially Amara. As if learning her. Studying her. Becoming something close to human. But never fully. And Amara felt it. But she loved her anyway. Because love does not ask questions first. It holds on first. And asks later. Even when it is afraid. It was morning. Amara sat beside her, cutting small pieces of meat. Nixara watched carefully. Then she said, Why do you look at me like that? Amara froze. The knife stopped midair. You can speak? She whispered. Nixara tilted her head. I have always been listening. Amara's heart pounded. Mama Sade dropped the pot she was holding. You heard that? She asked. I hear everything, Nixara replied calmly. Silence. Then Nixara looked at the meat. I am hungry. And that was when Amara understood. This was only the beginning, not the end. Because whatever Nixara was, she was growing, learning, becoming. And one day, the world would not be able to ignore her. Outside, the village continued to whisper. Inside, something powerful was waking up. And neither of them were ready for what was coming. Days passed, but peace did not return to Amara's house. Every morning the sun rose over the village like nothing had happened, but inside that small mud house, fear sat with them like an extra person. Amara no longer opened the windows fully. She only lifted the cloth a little to see who was passing. Each sound outside made her heart jump. Each footstep near their compound made her hold her breath. At first, she told herself that everything would be fine. She told herself that Nixara was still a child. Her child. But the truth was becoming harder to ignore. Nixara was growing too fast. In the morning, she would look like a small child. By evening, her arms seemed longer, her face became sharper, her eyes became wiser. It was as if time itself was afraid of her and decided to hurry. Mama Sade noticed it too, but she tried not to show fear. One evening, while Amara was feeding Nixara small pieces of meat, Mama Sade stood near the doorway and watched quietly. "Why do you look sad when you feed me?" Amara froze. The bowl almost slipped from her hand. Mama Sade's mouth opened, but no word came out. Nixara tilted her head. "Did I say something wrong?" Amara swallowed hard. Her chest tightened with both fear and wonder. "No," she whispered. "You didn't say anything wrong." Nixara looked down at the meat in the bowl. "You are afraid of what I eat." Amara tried to smile, but it failed. "I am only worried," she said softly. Nixara raised her eyes again. "Worried that I will eat something else?" The room went cold. Mama Sade gripped the doorway. Amara quickly placed the bowl down and held Nixara's face gently. "Listen to me," she said, forcing her voice to remain calm. "You will never harm anyone. Do you understand me?" Nixara stared at her for a long moment. Then she asked, "What if I become hungry?" Amara's heart broke. She pulled the child close and hugged her tightly. "Then I will feed you," she whispered. "No matter what it costs me, I will feed you." But even as she said it, she knew she was lying to comfort herself. They were poor. Meat was expensive. And Nixara's hunger was growing. That night, Amara could not sleep. She sat beside Nixara and watched her breathing. The girl slept quietly, but every now and then, something moved beneath her skin. Not fully, not openly. Just a small ripple, like scales trying to remember themselves. Amara covered her mouth to stop herself from crying. Mama Sade sat beside her. "My daughter," she whispered, "this thing is bigger than us." Amara shook her head slowly. "Don't call her thing." Mama Sade closed her eyes with pain. "I am not saying it to hurt you. I am saying it because I am afraid." Mama Sade's voice broke. "Then what should I say? Should I pretend this is normal? Should I pretend I did not see your stomach turn to scales? Should I pretend a snake did not come out of you and become a child before my eyes?" Amara's tears fell silently. Mama Sade moved closer and held her hand. "I love you," she whispered. "That is why I am scared. This village will not forgive what it does not understand." A few days later, the first trouble came. A woman passing by the compound stopped at the fence and called out, "Amara!" Amara's body stiffened. Mama Sade quickly hid the bowl of meat under a cloth. Nixara sat in the corner, quiet as a shadow. The woman called again, louder this time. "Amara, are you inside?" Amara stood slowly and went to the door. When she opened it just a little, she saw 3 women standing outside. Their faces were not friendly, their eyes were searching. "We came to greet the baby," one of them said. Amara forced a smile. "The child is sleeping." One woman leaned to the side, trying to see inside. "Sleeping? Every time?" Another laughed dryly. "A child that never cries. A child nobody has seen. Amara, are we fools?" Amara's fingers tightened around the door. "My child is not strong yet." The oldest woman stepped forward. "Then let us pray for her." "No," Amara said too quickly. The women exchanged looks. That one word had betrayed her. The oldest woman's face hardened. "No?" Amara swallowed. "I mean, not today." The woman stared at her for a long time, then smiled in a way that was not kind. "Then we will come another day." They left, but they did not really leave. Their suspicion remained behind, hanging over the compound like smoke. That evening, the whispers became louder. By the next morning, people stopped pretending. Children no longer played near Amara's house. Women lowered their voices when she passed. Men looked at her compound like something dangerous was sleeping inside. And Nixara noticed everything. One afternoon, she stood by the window and watched 2 children run past. They were laughing, chasing each other with sticks. Nixara touched the cloth covering the window. "Why don't they come here?" Amara was grinding pepper, but her hands stopped moving. "They are busy." Nixara turned. "Are they afraid of me?" Amara looked down. Nixara walked closer. Did I do something to them? No,